Any ideas of what we do now that we have 2 points? And we know our formula. Put the hint down here. y2 minus y1 equals, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what do we do? Well, first of all, what is x1, y1? Okay, hold on. x1, y1, x2, y2. Jonathan, what are they? x1, y1, x2, y2. Where do we put x1, y1, and x2, y2? How does that work? How do we label these? What's negative 2 for? Is that, that's x1, right? Because that's the first point, so we'll put x1. And then y1, right? That's x1, y1. What about this one? x2, y2. Right. This is the first point, that's the second point. Get the point?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, what we use our formula, all we have to do is plug things in. Okay, easier said than done. Now, what do we put in? M equals? What's y2?
Negative 7.
Negative 7.
Minus 4.
Minus 4. Right, negative 7 minus 4. Okay. Over, what's x2?
6.
6.
Minus 2.
Be careful, use your pockets, that's the easiest thing. That way you won't go wrong, okay? You subtract negative 2. If you use a pocket for that, it's going to be easier, especially for negatives. So what's negative 7 minus 4? Be careful, that's the same as saying negative 7 plus negative 4, isn't it? If you know your integers. This is like an integers test. And this 6 minus negative 2 is the same as saying 6 what?
Plus 2.
Plus positive 2, or just 2. What's the answer going to be?
Negative 11 over 8. Yeah.
Negative 11 over 8. And you're done.
Oh.
Negative 11 over 8. And that's your answer. That's your slope. They ask you to find the slope of a line containing these 2 points. You've done it. Negative 11 over 8. So a lot of questions like that on page 321, which is part of your homework. Negative 11 over 8 is our answer. What about this question over here on page 3? Does anybody have any questions at all on this? Sure? You good with that? Everybody follow it? Even though I noticed you didn't get it at first, when we did it, it makes sense, right? You just, most of this kind of questions, you just have to remember the formula, and you got to be careful about integers. You got to be careful about subtracting. Notice how I very carefully made this negative 7 minus 4 was made it negative 7 plus negative 4, right? See, right? And here was 6 minus negative 2. I didn't do any shortcuts. I didn't just do pluses through there, okay? I didn't get religious and make crosses. I went ahead and did this. I went 6 plus positive 2. And that's what I did, okay? And now it's negative 11 over 8. It falls into place. Let's move on to page 326 and look at number 14. This is also part of your homework, and this is 7-5, okay? This is finding slope with equations. Now, when slope and equation interact, you get a whole other kind of problem. The key to this kind of problem is what we did earlier in the class. Y equals what? Remember we did it a couple times. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. That's your key equation, folks. There are other equations, but this is the one you use the most, and it has the most information in it. Y equals mx plus b. Now, how does this relate to this? How can you make this look like that?
Because aren't you going to make a slope out of it?
You can, but first we have to manipulate the equation. You're all really good at that. I saw you in chapter 3. We just finished a test on that. What do we do to make this equation look like that? We solve for what?
Should we solve for x?
Well, you don't want to solve for x because we want y.
We'll solve for y.
Solve for y. If you don't solve for x, solve for y. Makes sense, right? So what do we do to solve for y here? What do we have to move on to manipulate so that's on the other side, Katrina?
I think first you have to add 3x to
That's
both sides.
absolutely right. Add 3x to both sides, guys. Write it down. Write it down. So what do we get, Adam? We get 2y, right? 2y equals plus 9, right? You can't actually add these together, so you just write them out like a literal equation. Right. So now what? We've got to get y on its own. So what do we do on both sides? Any idea, Jonathan? We're almost there. We just have to get y on its own. Kia?
Would you divide the y?
Divide by what?
2 with 2y?
And what do we do over here?
Oh, you put the 2 in there too, right?
Divide it all, right? Now what's another way of writing this right here? We can write this as y equals, what's another way of writing this? 3 over 2x plus 9 over 2. All right, because the 2 kind of belongs to both of these, there's no simplifying possible. It's 3 over 2x plus 9 over 2. And guess what? If we go back to our original equation, y equals mx plus b, you should be able to tell me what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. What's the slope equal to? 3 over 2. And over there, Katrina, what's the y-intercept equal to? 9 over 2, right? So this is the slope. Write all this down. Slope. And this is the y-intercept. This pen's finally had it.
Mr. Day? So
Yeah.
when you say y-intercept, that means that that's the number that comes up when x is equals 0?
Absolutely. Very, very good. That's exactly right. With this information, you can actually draw a graph really easily. Okay? Not that this question, it didn't ask you to do that, but you can draw a graph really easily because, well, this is equal to 4.5, right? 9 over 2. So we go ahead and plot that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in between is 4.5, so that's the point 0, 4.5, right? That's our y-intercept. From the y-intercept, we can go with slope 3 over 2, we rise over run. So what do? We rise over run. From here, where do we go? We rise. Up. How far?
3.
3 up. 1, 2, 3. So we end up 1, 2, 3 there, right? And we run how far?
2.
We run 2. We run over here. 1, 2. We've got our 2 points, and we can draw our graph between those 2 points. Whenever we have 2 points, we have a graph. We have a line. Okay? So there you go. That's our rise and our run. We run 2. Run 2. And we rise, or we rose here. We rise.
You working how much?
3. Okay? We rise 3, we run 2. And there we go. 3 over 2 is our slope. So that's how this equation turned into, all right, first of all, y equals mx plus b.
Oh,
M is equal to 3 over 2. We got our y-intercept.
Yeah.
And then we go ahead and use our graph to plot that.